Its longest standing voices, and more importantly, a great friend with the passing of Fox Sports broadcaster Steve Byrnes. Throughout his 30-plus years covering the sport, Steve earned the respect and admiration of the entire NASCAR community. Steve was a remarkable person, served as an inspiration to many during his courageous battle against cancer, and he will be missed. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Steve's wife, Karen, son, Bryson, as well as all his family, friends, and colleagues. We ask that you please stand and join us in a moment of silence as we remember Steve Byrnes. Thank you. And please remain standing as Chaplain Joe Ellison, Senior Chaplain of Richmond Raceway Ministries, offers tonight's invocation.
Let us pray, NASCAR family. Father, in the name of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, we thank you for allowing us to come to celebrate this great sport we call NASCAR. Father, we thank you for each and every driver tonight. We pray God's protection over them. We thank you for their families, and we thank you for the sacrifice. Lord, we thank you for Richmond International Raceway and its staff and all the preparation. Tonight, Lord, let us remember our brother Steve in our prayers and his family. Most of all, we thank you for our brothers and sisters, our military, who defend our borders around the world. Bless them tonight. We thank you for those who defend our borders. We'll give you all the glory. We give you all the praise. We thank you for your protection tonight and your love. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Here tonight to honor America with the singing of our national anthem, please welcome Nashville recording artist and NCMA Artist of the Year, Brittany Marie.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the lands of the free and the home of the brave.
A special moment of silence for our dear friend. We will forever be Byrnes strong, and we go racing from Virginia next. the perfect evening to watch a race here in Richmond, Virginia. As we turn it over to the men who will call tonight's race, our guest driver analyst is ready for his third appearance calling the action. Even though Brad Keselowski is from Michigan, he should consider this Virginia racetrack his home away from home. He won the Richmond Fall Cup race last year, leading 383 of 400 laps, and 3 seems to be a popular number around here. Along with Brad's 3 Xfinity wins, Kenny Wallace has won here 3 times, Larry McReynolds has won here 3 times, and now the trio of Adam Alexander, Kenny Wallace, and Brad Keselowski in the booth calling tonight's race. I'm told I have just 3 seconds to throw to you guys, so take it away.
All right, thank you so much, Danielle. We're set for 250 laps tonight here at Richmond, and you talked about Brad's domination when it comes to this particular 3/4 mile facility. Whoever gets the checkered flag tonight, Brad, is flat going to earn it because it's been a long day. Practice began for these teams 8:15 this morning.
Wow, what a tough day is right, and it's about to get even longer into the night. If they thought practice at 8 a.m. was tough, wait until this track gets rubbered up, slick, and your car's driving sideways. That's a long day. I don't know about you, Michael, but that's something I'm not looking forward to for them.
Well, what I love is these guys had practice this morning, Adam. Like you said, at 8:15. The track was cool. Conditions were perfect. Then they qualified in the middle of the day. Who knew what they were going to get? Now this track's going to cool off, and the guys that were good this morning are going to have fast cars now, and that's what I love. Practice conditions will be a lot like what we see in the race here.
It's a short track. You would think short runs, but in this race 1 year ago, we had a green flag run of 104 laps. Do you have to be good over the long haul if you're going to get the trophy tonight?
Absolutely. You want to be good on a long haul, and you want to be good in those late race restarts, Adam. It's so important here. You're going to see that probably dictate the race winner.
What I love is those late race restarts. You guys are crazy. 3 wide, pushing each other all over the place. This thing's going to heat up as the lights come on.
And our man Brad got Brian Scott with 11 to go in September of 2013 and stole the victory on that Friday night. Time now to go trackside for the command of fire engines here at Richmond.
Race fans, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome tonight's Grand Marshal, loyal Toyota owner and VIP customer of Haley Toyota of Richmond, Marcin Piszczatowski.
Drivers, start your engines!
We said it. It's been a long day for NASCAR Xfinity Series teams, but now it's time to get down to business at Richmond. We go from the driver's seat with Erik Jones. That's next. Ready for a little short track racing on a Friday night live in Richmond, Virginia. One of the guys to watch, Erik Jones, 18 years old, out of Michigan. He has been on a roll lately, winning the pole 3 of the last 4 races, 4 consecutive top 5s, got that big win at Texas. Tonight we go from the driver's seat with driver 54.
And boy, I can't wait to hear what he has to say, Adam. How about it, Erik Jones? This is Brad Keselowski in the Fox Sports 1 booth. Have you got us?
I got you.
You've done such a great job the last few weeks and really raised all your notoriety. You've been successful in every series. I'm so happy for you, bud. But for the fans at home, I want to hear, how hard is the challenge of driving for 4 different teams like you've done lately?
Yeah, it's not easy by any means, but it's just a challenge, you know, for the different personnel and the different race cars. And obviously having such great race cars makes it easier, but at the same time, it's a challenge. So we've been taking it week by week and learning as much as we can every week. And I feel like I've improved quite a bit as a driver throughout the years. So it's always nice to have that feeling, and always nice as a driver to, you know, be in the seat every week too.
Erik, it's Michael. I've seen so much, and it's been so fun to watch you. Talking to Brad Keselowski up here, he said the key to winning is keeping the rear tires on that car. You've never been here before. How are you going to do that?
Yeah, I don't know yet. We, you know, throughout practice, I felt like we worked on it pretty hard to get better on exit and get better drive off. So it's just a matter of turning good in the center and getting this Monster Energy camber pointed for exit. So we'll keep working on it throughout the race and stay up with it, but hopefully I can use some of my short track experience and some late model races to try to keep some tires on this thing.
All right, buddy, have fun. We're going to check back in with you later, all right?
That sounds good. Thank you, guys.
You know, Michael, pit strategy was big last week, could be again tonight. The guys following it for us down on pit road. Let's hear from them and start with Vince Welch.
If you ever believe that a track owes you one, this is the place for Brian Scott. 2 years ago, led 239 of 250 laps, dominated the race, but Brad Keselowski got him on a late restart, and Brian finished second. He told me just before he got in the car, that loss drives him. He'd like nothing more than to settle the score tonight. Matt?
Vince, when Brendan Poole looked at his 17-race limited schedule for 2015, the race that he circled was Richmond because of its reputation for being tough and challenging. It just looms so large. But he told me when his first lap on the racetrack today, he's fallen in love with the place. It's fun. It's hard braking. So he showed that qualifying. He starts 10th. Good there. He's expecting a really good race here tonight. Chris Neville?
On Tuesday this week, Kevin Harvick and his Sprint Cup team visited the White House and our nation's president. And since then, Kevin Harvick has been under the weather. He said he doesn't have the flu, but he's dealing with some type of virus. He said tonight is going to be tough. As for the 88, he says it's just way too tight in the center of the corner. So our 7-time winner, he's definitely got his work cut out for him tonight.
He may be sick, Chris. Usually he makes the competition sick when we come to Richmond. Tonight, Toyota joins NASCAR Race to Green with a Camry hybrid pace car. This vehicle knows how to balance power for fuel efficiency. With hybrid synergy drive, the combined output of both the gas and electric motors is an impressive 200 net HP. And because of its advanced design, lightweight materials, and refined aerodynamics, the Camry hybrid goes further for less.
And it's cool seeing Steve Byrnes' name on that Toyota Camry hybrid. I've got one of those hybrids. Get the amazing gas mileage to roll down the road, Adam.
And now the numbers for tonight's 250 lapper. 63 degrees right now. Going to go down into the upper 40s. Track temp at 66, a bit breezy all day long here in Richmond. 250 laps equates to just over 185 miles. Pit road speed 40 miles per hour. You see the drivers going to the rear, and here's what they were saying in Chase Elliott's camp a moment ago.
All right, fellas. Thank you. That's the fun tonight. Be smooth. 10-4. Go drive your heart out, bud.
And tonight's aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. The day began 7 o'clock this morning. Finally, the green flag going to go in the air. Front row, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a Friday night of short track racing. Time to make it happen in the Xfinity Series here at Richmond.
Big jump for Denny Hamlin. What a nice start to the race. Looked like maybe a little bit of wheel spin for Erik Jones in the 54. What did you see there, Michael?
I just think that inside groove, it just seems to be the preferred groove on these starts and restarts. So, Brad, make a note about that. Denny, a good start from the bottom at the beginning. Will that be the key to getting a good restart late in the race?
Look, 3 wide already. Chase Elliott
That's Harvick battling in the middle of that mess with Brennan Poole. The rookie's feeling racy tonight on the outside of Chase Elliott.
Austin Dillon was down on the inside.
How many short tracks in America can you go 3 wide? We just left Bristol where we were racing 3 wide NASCAR style, and we're doing it again tonight in Richmond.
That was an impressive move. And I'll tell you what, if you're a championship contender, you see you've got Ty Dillon and Chase Elliott. We're on lap 1, now lap 2 here at Richmond in the Xfinity Series, and they're side by side 3 wide. This is going to be a great season for this championship battle.
And how much of this is a product of get all you can get when you're bunched up on a restart, or in this case, the start of the race?
Well, that's how NASCAR works these days. Brad knows it is as intense as it's ever been. Competition is so even, you've got to take advantage of every situation, and that's what these guys are trying to do.
And Chase is hanging in tough. He's outside his teammate right now. That's Kevin Harvick. That's champion.
Let's watch this start. We talk about that inside lane. Hamlin just leaps out of there.
And the 18 jumps underneath the 9, 3 wide rail.
Wow, and Kevin didn't get into that corner very deep. Chase Elliott clips him a bit.
A little bit of contact there. I hope he doesn't have any big damage.
I thought Regan Smith did a great job at reacting to Harvick, who got out of the throttle. That could have been a big mess for teammates. Regan Smith able to dodge a bullet after suffering problems last week. You see the biggest movers so far, Austin Dillon gaining a half dozen spots in the early going, and David Starr, who started at the rear, +4 as we complete 5 laps.
That's evidence of what Brad was talking about. When it's time to go, you got to go in this series, and that's what these guys are doing. Denny Hamlin accomplished something no one was able to do the whole time we were in Bristol. That's lead Joey Logano in that 22 car. Denny's strong early, but Joey's keeping pace with him, and you can see this great battle here. You know Harvick's going to be good in the long run, and he's starting to creep up through these guys already.
Scary to think what Brennan Poole might accomplish tonight. Usually he starts deeper and continually works his way to the front. He was quick in practice this morning, solid effort in qualifying, and here he is battling for the 11th spot with Chase Elliott.
He's working that high line very well right now. And, you know, early in the race, Adam, what you'll see is the high lane is really nice and clean. The cars make a lot of grip up there. But the problem with that is it wears the tires out just a little bit more. So if you're running the high lane with success right now, you want to get what you can while you can and hope not to wear them out.
Hamlin on the pole, got that great start as we talked about, but hasn't exactly pulled away. Logano not too far back, last time around 3/4 of a second. And right behind him, hanging tough, Erik Jones. Last week in the 20, last few weeks in the 20 car, this week in the 54, same results. This kid, so impressive.
I know Hamlin was really looking forward to getting behind the wheel of the 20 car. He's seen the success that Erik Jones has had in it. That's his former engineer from the Cup Series, Mike Wheeler, calling the shots, the crew chief on the 20 car. And Denny has a great relationship with Wheeler. Very confident as Hamlin as he starts this race tonight.
It is a short track, and it doesn't matter how late in the race you are, there will be contact. This is a preview of what's to come. Denny Hamlin started on pole. He's led the first 16 laps in our ToyotaCare 250 here in Richmond, Virginia. Second place right now, Joey Logano. Erik Jones is third. Aric Almirola is fourth. Brian Scott completes the top 5. You know, last week we were on the short track at Bristol, and one of the big topics of conversation there, how tricky pit road is. And when you think about Richmond, it's no peach either. Let's hear from our rules analyst, Andy Petrie. What can you tell us about Richmond International Raceway, Andy?
Well, Adam, when I was looking at some of the trends that we see here at Richmond, I see that there's a lot of commitment line violations here. And I'm looking at the racetrack and trying to see why. Well, that line is actually right in the middle of 3 and 4. You can see that square. That would normally be a cone. They don't use a cone for obvious reasons here. But you have to have both left side tires on or below that to make your commitment to pit road. And if you do, you have to come to pit road. You can't just decide to come back out. It's really tough on these drivers because you can see even right here in racing conditions, they're basically touching that as they go through. We'll be watching that to see if there's any of those tonight.
I'm sure there's going to be, Andy. We've seen more and more pit road penalties in 2015. NASCAR has implemented the Hawkeye system. They can see every move all these drivers and crew members make down on pit road, and that's a great explanation, Andy, of what the drivers are faced with when those crew chiefs make a late call. Stay out, stay out. Well, I think
pit.
I think I might have hit that magic box.
I saw someone hit that commitment cone at Texas a couple of weeks ago.
Wonder who that could have been. No, it is really tough, Michael, like you said, and we're going to see a lot of pit stops here. New tires are worth so much speed, but having that strategy right is very important.
Good battle, back portion of the top 10 here. Regan Smith, we mentioned his disappointment last week at Bristol, able to drive to the inside of Rookie of the Year contender Darrell Wallace Jr. and grab the spot.
We saw that 6 car, Adam, in qualifying. He was out of shape, sideways, and still got a top 10 starting spot, running in the 11th spot. Bubba's been really impressive on the short tracks, especially as of late. Really strong runs at Martinsville in the truck and just continues to get better and better. So looks like he might be a couple adjustments away from racing into the top 5, but a solid start for the number 6 car.
One of the few tracks where he has experience, finished 10th here in his only Xfinity start at Richmond. Also has a K&N win here, came in 2011.
One of the things I've been noticing here, guys, is you know, we've been coming to Richmond for a lot of years, and people always say, have you figured these tracks out yet? You keep going to them every year. Well, here's why it's so difficult. This year there's been some sealer work done to the racetrack. Right here you can see it in turns 1 and 2, and these patches are giving these guys fits right here. It's creating this rubber spot, and the cars are bouncing up and down. And as you know, you go down a dirt road where your car bounces up and down, it doesn't have as much grip. And I can see the guys really struggling with this.
Does that make it even more important, Brad? We talked to Kenny Wallace before the race. He said that yellow line is your best friend here at Richmond. If you hit that yellow line, you're going to miss those patches. Is it even more important now?
Yes, it is. And you're going to see Denny Hamlin here. He's going to fight as hard as he can in this traffic here, passing John West Townley to put him a lap down. He wants to get underneath those strips. If he hits those strips, his car's going to slide up. It's going to maybe make contact, and that's what you want to really avoid. And that yellow line gets you just underneath those patches.
Hamlin in traffic might open the door for the man running second, the 22 of Joey Logano.
Oh, hi, guys, go on tap. Only as high as it takes to pass people double wide in the corner. Nobody in the back has moved up at all. You've been the highest right there. Got some heat in the rotors there, bud. Just let you know, it's about half and half. The car you're chasing does not.
That was his spotter, Joey Logano's spotter, Tad. He was telling him that the cars are committed to the bottom so far. They only go as high as it takes to pass other cars. So Joey's just checking in on what the competition is doing. I'd be wanting to check in on what Kevin Harvick is doing because he's coming up through the field. He's into the 7th spot now. His lap times are consistently as good or better than our first 2. You see Logano on the outside of David Starr there. So I think before long, Kevin Harvick will come calling.
Yeah, you know, Kevin's always got a lot of long-run speed. It favors him as a driver, and this is a long-run speed racetrack.
He started 6th, did Kevin Harvick. Fell back to 10th, but Michael said it. He's rallied up to the 7th position. Denny Hamlin, the race leader. Joey Logano is 2nd. Erik Jones 3rd. Aric Almirola, Austin Dillon, the top 5. It's a great night here in Richmond.
Coming to Richmond, you use a lot of brake, you roll to the center, and forward drive is huge.
Trying to make sure that we don't warp the rotors or we don't use up our pads.
You drive so deep in the corners, man, Richmond's just like, come on into the corners.
The better your car works, the less brakes you're going to have to use. And that's always a premium. That's always something that I work on when I come to Richmond.
That's a great period on the sound package, right? When your car's working good, everything else kind of takes care of itself.
And you heard us talk a little bit before we went to break, and you see Denny Hamlin leading here about long run speed. And for the fan at home that was wondering, well, what does that mean? What's Brad talking about, long run speed? So we talk about the race cars and how fast they are in them short bursts, like restarts and qualifying. And then we talk about them in these long green flag stretches like we have right now, 38 straight laps here when Denny crosses the line. So when that happens, you say, well, how come some cars are good in short bursts, some are good in long bursts? And it has a lot to do with what you just heard in those sound bites. How much brake does the driver use? And it also has a lot to do with how the car's set up, Michael.
And is that a driver thing, or is that a car thing, or is it a combo?
I think it is a combo. I think some drivers just are notoriously good at having long run speed. We talked about Kevin Harvick's one of them. And some drivers are notorious for having great short run speed. And you can win either way, and a lot of it depends on how the race plays out.
This is a nice little battle here, huh? Brian Scott, we know he's good at Richmond. Trying to hold off a couple from Junior Motorsports, was not successful in doing that with Kevin Harvick. Kevin sneaking through the picture there is up to 6th. Side by side for 7th, Chase Elliott inside of Brian Scott, and Regan Smith right behind him.
That's a good battle, you're right, Adam. Working through lap traffic, trying to decide the 9th or the 7th spot between a couple of guys racing in traffic. That's always intense.
And look at Denny Hamlin. He starts on the pole, leads every lap so far. How they feeling about the car, Matt?
Denny's pretty pleased with the car right now. Now, he told me before the race, the big positive that he felt from his 20 machine in practice, the car was just so well cutting through the center of the corner. His concern, the car being too free on exit, but it's actually been free on entry, but it hasn't hurt him as much. Chris?
Tracks that we visited so far this year, Erik Jones finally at a track that he's never turned a wheel in any type of car. So this week he leaned on Kyle Busch for some advice. Kyle told him you need to be able to roll the center of the corner really well here, and you need to get off the corner. Right now he says the 54 is very good getting off the corner, but where the 22 and the 20 are beating him right in the center of the corner. They need to work on that.
Honestly, really good right here. Center 1 and 2 is pretty good. Entry is good. Exit's really good. Wish we could roll center 3 and 4 a little bit better.
By the way, Adam, that's a at speed race. An 18-year-old kid racing, explaining to his crew chief what he needs, what adjustment it's going to take for him to go up there and challenge for the win. That's cool under fire. I love that report from Erik Jones.
Yeah, I think as a driver, what I listened to for there is how cool and calm he was, like you just said. You know, this is a very stressful environment. He's in a very high caliber ride. This is the 54 car. Kyle Busch won in this car, I don't know how many times, 30, 40 times, and he knows that while he's in this car. He feels that pressure to succeed, but you can tell it's not getting to him based on the inflection in his voice. So that's very impressive to me. Also, what's impressive is how he broke down the car. He's talked about needing to turn the center a little bit better. That's going to be hard for this team to find, but if they do, he's not far off of being able to make a challenge for this win.
What do you see watching him here, Brad?
Well, he's working this traffic here, and you know, that always kind of throws you a little bit sideways, but he looks very, very smooth. When you get in the traffic, you find that little bad spots on the track where it gets slick because you have to run there, and he didn't get too far sideways, so that tells me he's got a lot of control over this car.
And Brad, you talk about long run speed. Denny Hamlin ran a 23.43 last time by. That's over a second and 2/10 off of his fastest time. These cars are going to change tremendously when you slow down that much on this racetrack. In qualifying, we were separated by hundreds of seconds. Now they've lost a second and 2/10.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, isn't it? But that's how much these Goodyear tires fall off on this very abrasive Richmond surface.
You know, Erik Jones has been great when it comes to qualifying. 3 consecutive poles entering tonight, started in the top 5 again. So is Austin Dillon. Not a great qualifying run, but Vince, they have been on the move this evening.
Have indeed, Adam. As you see, he's running 4th, up 9 spots. They just missed it a little bit in qualifying, but this car has been good off the truck this weekend. and Austin expected to be a top 5 caliber car, and that's exactly where he has gone. As you said, it's been a strong start to the season, 4 top 5s in just 6 races. Got a little bit of brake flow, as you saw on the screen just a moment ago. His spotter has alerted him to it, but Austin has hardly said anything on the radio. And Brad, as a driver, you understand, if you're not saying much, the car must be pretty good, right?
Usually that's a good sign, and we've seen a lot of speed out of this 33 team as well. But, you know, we're talking about brake load. You see just a very faint circle of brake temperature through the wheels. And that's so important for these teams, because when we're talking about those things like long run speed, and we're going to keep hammering that because it's so important at Richmond, how much brake you use is really going to dictate that.
Only 18 cars on the lead lap. The last one, the man that came in with a championship lead, that would be Chris Buescher, and a big break for him as we get our first caution of the night. Debris on the front straightaway, and you know, you're 50 laps in, it comes at a good time, because I'm sure everybody would like to get to pit road and make an adjustment.
This is where you're saying 4 tires, please.
And you also know enough about your car, Adam, to where you run a long run. You felt what it took to be fast for 10, 12 laps. Now you know what it's going to take to be fast for 50. Great time for 4 tires and an adjustment.
What are you doing here, Larry?
Yeah, there's no question. Pit road's going to be a very busy place, but here will be the chess match. We still have 200 laps to go. With this set of tires they're about to put on their car, they will only have 2 sets left in the pits for the rest of this race.
Yeah, team's got 6 sets of tires to work with today. Rookie's got 1 additional set. As you see the debris here on the front straightaway, looks like a spring rubber maybe that came out of one of these cars. You have to turn in 2 sets. Rookies have to turn in 3. That leaves you 4 sets with a race. You start on the tires you qualified with. 3 sets in the pits, as Larry alluded to. So tire management, always big when it comes to the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
And I got to tell you, I love that. I mean, let's have some strategy. Let's not just be able to throw 4 tires. You know you're going to want them as a driver, Brad, every time the caution comes out. But in this series, you can't do that.
Absolutely, and that's part of the challenge. And it makes this series just a little bit different than the Sprint Cup Series, trying to manage that pit sequence and those strategies.
Big caution for the Roush Fenway organization. I mentioned Chris Buescher was the last car on the lead lap. First car 1 lap down, that would be Ryan Reed. He gets the free pass. First pit stops of the night come at lap 51. They're on their way down to you. Vince Welch.
Well, and Austin Dillon will come in, and he's the very first pit box, so he has an open entrance and an open exit. That's key. It's just going to be a 4-tire change, a little air pressure adjustment in the right front. He is free in, otherwise solid.
Chris Gale, crew chief on the 54, reminding Erik Jones that he's in the 54 this weekend. This team still just trying to make this car a little bit better in the center, but got great speed off the corner right now. Not many changes. Matt?
And leader Denny Hamlin, he was concerned before he hit pit road about the fact they've got 1 less set of tires for this weekend. The car's still loose on entry. That's his biggest hindrance. Meanwhile, the 98 of Almirola, his car also loose in. That was his biggest problem.
Tell you what Denny Hamlin has going for him. Number 1 pit stall. He's the first off pit road. In fact, the top 5 holding serve. Let's go to Los Angeles. Get an update from the Fox Sports 1 news desk. Here's Cole Wright. Here's another look at the Camry Hybrid Pace Car. This vehicle uses many smart technologies to help make your drive as efficient as possible. The Camry Hybrid LE offers an EPA estimated 43 mpg city, and the Sport Camry Hybrid SE offers an EPA estimated 40 mpg city, so you don't have to sacrifice fuel economy for fun. There goes the Camry to pit lane. Restart coming as we complete lap 55. Denny Hamlin, the race leader here at Richmond.
I think there's Brad. I think Joey was more prepared for that restart. Denny jumped him on the first one. Joey hung right there with him on the outside on that second one.
Oh, Erik slides up a little bit right over that little patch we were talking about, Michael.
Oh, that was close.
And there you see right behind him, Chase Elliott, our defending champion, second in both races here a year ago. Gained 2 spots on the pit lane, now inside the top 5.
And that's what championship teams do. They come to pit road and they gain you 2 or 3 spots, and you got to love it when your team can do that. That's a big statement for them.
Elliott looking on the outside of Austin Dillon, the biggest mover early in this race. Brian Scott driving to the inside of one of our Rookie of the Year contenders, Daniel Suarez, who was the rookie of the race last week at Bristol, finished in the runner-up position. And behind him, another young gun on board with Brennan Poole, who's running in the 12th position. And there's Ty Dillon inside of him.
Ty Dillon trying to push forward in this championship battle. Talked about Chase Elliott picking up positions on pit road. Man, this thing is tight for the guys racing for this NASCAR Xfinity Series championship.
Dillon gets the position. You know, he was top 5 last week at Bristol. First time he had finished inside the top 5 since the season opener at Daytona.
You know what you like to see, guys, is a cat like Brennan Poole who just gets better and better. Now he's consistently running up near the front. Joey Logano chasing down Denny Hamlin.
Remember the last time we were here and Joe Gibbs Racing led every lap? It was Kyle Busch last September. Tonight it's all about Denny Hamlin.
Denny, your brake looked really good that entire run. Never saw any temperature. The 22s was blowing pretty good. Go ahead and turn your brake bands off during this caution and work the brakes to get the build back up.
Before I didn't have my brake paint on that time.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Austin, if they get crazy looking, I'll say something else. I was just letting you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with using them as hard as you want. They had that light glow. That glow light means they're working real good.
A brake conversation there, huh?
So the spotters are the best, or have the best view to really tell you how hard you're pushing the car. As a driver, you have a sense for it, but I want to hear it from my spotter. I want him to tell me, because he can see the actual color of the brake rotors, which will tell me, how close am I to the edge? Do I have a long ways to go and they're that light glow, or are they bright red and I've almost burned them up?
How important is the relationship between a driver like yourself and Joey Meyer, your spotter? I think you lean on him a lot, trust him quite a lot. Is that an important part of winning a race?
Well, at this level, as you get up the levels, every piece of information is critical to the decisions you make, and a spotter has the best view. I mean, he's on top of the roof, right? He can see the whole racetrack, and so you rely on him to give you that little bit of information, and hopefully it's an edge to win races.
You see Austin Dillon there, right behind him. Bubba Wallace, who's now in the top 5. Everybody chasing Denny Hamlin. Another good restart for driver 20. He's led all 63 laps here tonight. You're watching the ToyotaCare 250 on Fox Sports 1. 71 of 250 laps complete here in Richmond, Virginia for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And now our Ford track fact. When you look at Ford here, their last sweep came with our man, Brad Keselowski, 2013. And the Roush Fenway organization leads all time here with 9 checkered flags at the short track in Virginia. By Ford, go further. The race leader is Denny Hamlin. His advantage over second place Joey Logano, 1.1 seconds.
Enjoying a nice healthy lead over the 22 like he did the first run. Denny told his team he still is too free on entry down into turn 3 and then hence a little too free on exit. He needs more adjustment on their next stop. The challenge for the team is hearing Denny. It's almost like his microphone inside the helmet is too far away from his mouth. It picks up a lot more ambient car noise. They had to continue to ask him to repeat what he says every time he communicates.
Well, that's the only adversity they've had today. Quickest in practice, won every round of qualifying. Denny's led every lap tonight, just like this guy did a week ago at Bristol, Joey Logano.
I said at Bristol, Brad, there's no way anybody's going to dominate this race. It's going to be intense. It's going to be competitive. And I was right. It was intense and competitive from second on back. But what a dominating performance last week we saw, and we're witnessing that again early. Erik Jones running in the 3rd spot. He's consistently running the same lap times as the 22 of Joey Logano, but they're getting beat a half a tenth or so every lap by the 20 car.
And Erik Jones has actually ran the fastest lap of the race, so that shows me he's got speed and potential if he can get to the lead.
You know, and Austin Dillon started outside the top 10, worked his way to the top 5, kind of stabilized there in 4th, and he's got company now. Darrell Wallace Jr. starting to look good as we close on lap 100.
Yeah, he started outside the top 10 and has raced inside the top 5. That's an impressive move considering that up front no one's been able to go anywhere. Bubba's making some ground.
I'd say so far so good for the rookie, Vince.
Yeah, he really likes his race car. They made a wedge adjustment at that first stop, and he said it took off great. Really has good drive off right now in the 6 as he's fending off the challenge from Chase Elliott. But Bubba Wallace told me before the race they had a lot of work to do on this race car tonight. Well, they've done work pretty quickly, and as you noted, he has been a mover already up into the top 5.
And if you want a preview of what a Sprint Cup race is going to look like here in 6 or 8 years, just check out this battle. Darrell Wallace Jr. trying to hold off Chase Elliott, and perhaps they've learned a thing or two from the guy behind him, Kevin Harvick, who's won here 7 times, but not as quick tonight as we may have anticipated.
Kevin hasn't shown his hand yet. The key word there is yet. There's a long ways left to go, 172 laps. Let's see if he can get up there at the trailing end of this run.
I talked to him this morning, and he was really concerned about the speed of Denny Hamlin. Different zip code is how he described Hamlin's car. He's got a few more guys he's got to challenge before he can get to Hamlin, but he sort of called what was going to happen early at least.
Put Chase Elliott back in the top 5, drove around Darrell Wallace Jr., perhaps the 6 starting to go away as the run continues, and he's being attacked by Junior Motorsports just after Chase Elliott got around him. Here comes the aforementioned Kevin Harvick.
He's driving it hard. You see him get sideways up off the corner at him. That's a good sign for how hard your driver's pushing the car here at Richmond.
How patient are you in this situation if you're Kevin Harvick?
Well, I watched Harvick race earlier with Darrell Wallace Jr., and there was a bit of a shove, maybe a dive bomb that Kevin didn't expect. So I wouldn't think Kevin will be very patient. He's an aggressive driver. We talked about he works like a mule inside of that car. He likes to give it his all, and he's probably going to heat Bubba up here pretty quick.
Here's a guy I know that's impressed you throughout the day, Brad.
Yeah, it really has. Eric Almirola is a Cup driver, so we think a lot of him already before we start. But I think this team, the Biaggi brothers team, part-time team, they don't have all the resources and funding that some of the higher level teams might have. They don't even run every race. And here they are with some strong runs, running up in the top 10, running 8th, challenging with Regan Smith, trying to hold off the 8th position. But I really like what I've seen out of that group. They seem to be progressing this season, which is a big thing for a team.
I'll tell you, a team that's looking to rebound is Regan Smith, and right now got a chance to do so. The 7 inside of the 98 of Eric Almirola. Regan Smith moving up to the 8th position, and right behind them, Brian Scott. Haven't talked a lot about him tonight. The driver from Richard Childress Racing that I would say considers Richmond one of his best tracks is 10th right now.
He's just having a nice, smooth, quiet day. That's where you want to get started here when you don't maybe have the best car. And try to put yourself in position for something good to happen for you.
He's had the best car here before, almost won, had a dominating performance last year and had it get away from him. And Hopefully he can get an adjustment or two. There's a bunch of guys, I think, Vince, that need those adjustments, maybe to improve those cars so they can make a run up there at Hamlin.
Well, Brian Scott's crew chief, Mike Hillman Jr., he threw it all at the 2-car on that first stop. Tires, track bar, air pressure, wedge, spring rubber in the left rear. Brian was so loose that first run. The car is better, but still not quite where he wants it to be.
If you're looking to make a gain in the championship, tonight might be the night. The guys that were tied for the title chase coming in, both running outside the top 10. Ty Dillon 11th, Chris Buescher is 17th. The man in charge right here, Denny Hamlin, the Virginia kid, has led all 85 laps tonight. Nothing like under the lights in Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond, for most people, probably is more like the half mile of the short track. For me, it's my Achilles heel.
The way you have to run Richmond is really unique to itself. 3/4 mile track, really tight exits to corners.
You can run on the bottom, you can run in the middle, and sometimes you can run up against the wall, so it's very challenging.
Go out there, we wrinkle some fenders, you're beating and banging all race long, and it's a lot of fun coming to Richmond.
Second short track in as many weeks for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We're live on a Friday night in Richmond, Virginia. Good to have you with us. With Michael Waltrip, Brad Keselowski, I'm Adam Alexander. The battle for second place is on. This happening just about 4 seconds behind race leader Denny Hamlin. White 22, Joey Logano. On board the black 54 of Erik Jones.
Erik looks to be just a little bit faster, Adam. He's just slowly closing in.
I was thinking about that. I mean, and we just heard the guys talking about racing at Richmond. Even though 2 consecutive short tracks, your mindset changed much from last week to this as you see the battle for 6th?
Oh, it's about as completely different as you can get. You know, we saw Bristol run all the way at the top, really drive it in hard, lots of banking. You don't have to worry about the brakes. Richmond's the exact opposite. Tires fall off, got to use the brakes, drive it down in on the bottom. Completely different technique. They're both small tracks, but they don't drive the same at all.
How about this for 6th? Darrell Wallace Jr. inside of Austin Dillon. Here comes Regan Smith. That 33 skating around, Michael.
Yeah, he's starting to fade pretty severely, Adam. He's sliding all over the place. You can see down to the inside is Regan Smith, but I'm telling you guys, that 7 car has some nice long run speed. He's been putting down some good laps, moving toward the front. So nice rebound after a tough week last week in Tennessee for the 7 car of Regan Smith.
They're on the move, Vince.
Tell you what, Regan Smith, and I talked to him before the race today, and he was really happy with the race car. He said, we've had a good practice and a good car again. They've been very pleased in general this season with their cars. Haven't always gotten the finish that they felt like they deserved, but he was confident he was going to have a solid run tonight. Didn't have much drive off on that first run, but they made an air pressure adjustment. Car is much better this second stint, and as you guys noted, that long run speed is definitely in their favor.
And Vince, he was on NASCAR Race Hub Wednesday here on Fox Sports 1, and they were showing the championship standings. John Roberts was going through them, and he asked Regan about how they lost some ground at Bristol after the problems that Michael alluded to. He said, now, when you're not running good, I don't even look at the championship standings. He's now 8th after 7 weeks.
There goes the 88. Kevin Harvick just creeping toward the front. He's up to the 4th spot, running fast lap times. Denny Hamlin has set sail. He's driven away by 4 seconds from second place Joey Logano. But Brad, why does Denny have that steering wheel so close to him? I mean, it's right in his chest. And you remember last week when Erik Jones got in the FedEx car, Erik said, my arms are going to sleep because they're so close to me. Why would Denny drive like that?
Well, I think every driver has a little bit different style with how they even sit in the car. Some like to lay back like they're in a rocking chair. I'm probably one of those. Some like to sit all the way forward like my teammate Joey Logano. And then it also plays into the steering wheel and the position that you like there. For me personally, I like the wheel very close, Michael. I think it keeps your arms from getting tired and allows you to really put your elbow into the wheel if you need to. But some drivers like it to be a little bit further away, and maybe you can be just a little more precise that way. So it's a driver personality and driver preference item.
Well, you can see Eric's is a little bit further away than Denny's. Different driving styles, as you mentioned. We watched last week at Bristol where you could tell Joey Logano just very calmly and smoothly sawing on the wheel, and then Kevin Harvick was back and forth real rapidly and quickly with his steering. So this is another example of driver preference as to what it takes to be successful.
And I see something too here. Erik Jones has a bigger steering wheel, so he actually has to move the steering wheel more just to do the equal inputs with the front end.
Change for second. There goes Erik Jones. We were on board with him. Now you see him driving inside of Joey Logano. Change for that runner-up position.
Wow. Is this kid good or what? The job that he did down in Texas to wrestle that win away from the 22 car.
Would you say that Joe Gibbs Racing is pretty good when it comes to Richmond? They've now led 354 of the last 354 laps here at the track in Virginia. So impressive. Right now, the man in charge, Denny Hamlin, 104 laps out front tonight. He has been strong. Under caution for the second time tonight for the NASCAR XFINITY Series here in Richmond, Virginia. Caution came out when Jimmy Weller got into the wall. He was running in the 34th position. We'll take a look at the reason for the caution here coming off of turn 2.
You got up in the loose stuff, and you lose control of the car, Adam. You have no grip when you get up in that marbles and tire rubber, so NASCAR didn't know where that car might head, so they threw the caution flag.
Timely caution for a couple of guys. One, Denny Hamlin, the race leader, who just prior to the caution come out, had a report the 20 team might have had a tire issue. Also a good timely caution for the 60 of Chris Buescher. Came in tied for the championship lead, running 17th. First car one lap down, he will get the free pass. And we look at the right rear for Denny's car.
Well, he's got 4 lug nuts on. The 5th one here is just starting to fall off. The wheel looks like it might be shaking a little bit. It's hard to say.
Yeah, that's common. Guys are hitting 4 lugs now, especially on the short track. So we'll have to see if maybe he thought he had a loose wheel. They're coming to pit road.
Here they are, Chris.
And Erik Jones right now saying his car very good on the long run. He said if anything, he needs a little bit better takeoff speed. The car just a little bit tight in the center, but once you get 20, 30 laps into run, he said, I've got a car that's definitely got something for Denny Hamlin. Matt.
And Joey Logano said his car was too edgy on entry, and the center does go tight later in the run. They're going to make several adjustments there. Now for Denny Hamlin, he wasn't sure if it was a loose wheel or possibly the tire going down. He told his guys to get ready. He said the car is too free at the beginning of a run to hustle, but then it comes in nicely.
And we have a huge fire on the pit lane. It looks like it's right down around the Eric McClure
We got a guy
pit
on
area.
fire too behind the wall.
Oh my goodness, a scary situation on pit road here at Richmond.
Safety workers were quickly there to extinguish the fire.
That's Brendan Gaughan's pit. I saw Eric McClure's, couldn't see who was on fire because of all the flames and smoke.
Wow.
Wow, look at the fuel, man.
We haven't seen a fire like that in a long time.
And kudos to the safety workers who were right there on the spot to extinguish it. And we don't know for sure if the young man seen here was the one on fire, but it appears that everybody is okay.
Those pit crew guys are tough as nails. They hang right in there no matter what happens. You can see like patting him on the head saying, you're going to be okay. And he said, you darn right I am. I went back on pit road.
Look at the gas can, guys.
Yeah.
That could have been big.
We'll reset the running order when we come back to Richmond.
know.
Cleanup is underway on the pit lane here at Richmond International Raceway, working our second caution of the night. The race leaders had come down pit road, and in Brendan Gaughan's pit area, flames erupted. Anthony O'Brien, the rear tire changer, doing his job, and watch what happens. And we saw O'Brien while we were away in commercial being transported, and there were crew members all around that fire.
We also saw O'Brien giving everyone the thumbs up.
Yeah, awake and alert. And we certainly don't know the extent of his injuries. And this could very well be the fuel man who also was in the middle of the fire. And I believe, Brad, it was O'Brien seen here that was on the other side of the pit wall that you referred to that was running away on fire.
Yeah, I saw him running behind the pit box. He ran about 2 stalls down, and he was being patted down in the process. So it looks like at least 2 young men have some injuries here.
See O'Brien giving the thumbs up to everyone around him. That's a really scary scene there.
So O'Brien's been taken to the infield care center. We're under caution, 117 laps complete. We'll gather our thoughts and return after a break on Fox Sports 1. Closing on halfway and just about ready for the restart for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Richmond. But under our second caution, scary moment in Brendan Gaughan's pit. Fire erupts, and we think it may have been sparks from a lug nut coming off the car that ignited the fire with the gas.
We also have those hot rotors there as well. So
and look right here. Look at that.
That's the rear tire changer we heard on the radio. Shane Wilson reporting that the rear tire changer burnt.
Green flag back in the air as we complete lap 121. Denny Hamlin on the front row with Erik Jones. Harvick restarts third, and he's going to the inside. Can't make it happen.
That was just a warning shot right there. That's a, hey, I can do this, and I might do it later, but I'm not going to right now.
I like that driver recognition. You've been down there before, huh?
Yeah, I know exactly what Kevin was saying, and believe me, Denny's going to remember that, and so is Kevin.
Well, I think the 2 fastest cars have now found themselves And now you see Joey Logano battling to the inside of Harvick. Erik Jones was keeping pace with Denny on the long run that last time by once he got around Logano, and now he's got Denny right in front of him.
Logano had lost some ground on pit road, made it up there, as you mentioned, Michael, driving around Harvick. And right behind Harvick in the 2, Brian Scott restarted 4th. Their crew did a great job on that last pit stop.
Check out this restart. You talked about that warning shot that Harvick fired. A great start by Kevin.
He gets a good run right here. He's going to push to 20 and then make a dive after the start-finish line, which is legal. But he didn't dive into the corner. He let Denny have the corner.
Well, we've seen Kevin be really strong in the longer run. He's lost positions on every start and restart, or in the original start and both restarts. So that car fades at first, but then he rallies and has a great car after a few laps.
This is the best track position Kevin's had. So if he's going to make a run, it'll be on a long run under this section of the race.
We've talked about the stoutness of that 2 car. Brian Scott's very good here at Richmond. He's now inside the top 5. Great pit work, like you said, Adam, by that team.
13th place, just outside the top 10. The 18 of Daniel Suarez. 2nd career start coming tonight here at Richmond. And you got Elliott Sadler, who's got so much experience in the 1, trying to work him over. Battle for position. Kevin Harvick going to slide another one. There goes Brian Scott to the inside. That's for 4th.
Scott said that the loss he experienced here after dominating. Sideways is Yaley. Sends Ross Chastain up the racetrack. Nearly crashing off turn 2.
Dylan Lupton in the 25, making his 2nd career start. Nearly had nowhere to go. What's wrong with Harvick here?
Kevin's just holding on this run here. He keeps getting past. He needs to stay as close to the front as he can.
What's happening there, Chris?
Well, just listening to Kevin Harvick right before we were going to green as he was moving the car back and forth trying to get some heat in the tires. He said something doesn't feel right in the car. And now since we've been back to green, he's saying, guys, I don't know what it is. Something just does not feel right with the 88.
Well, when that happens right after a pit stop, you can't help but think, well, maybe all the tires aren't tight. Maybe got a wheel loose. We saw with Denny Hamlin only 4 lug nuts tight out of the 5 on his car. That can cause you some issues. Maybe that could be the problem on the 88.
You can see Regan Smith's going to look to the inside of Kevin now off turn 4.
Well, they're lined up behind him. Regan Smith is there. Darrell Wallace Jr. a part of that mix.
Yeah, something's way off here with Kevin's car.
See Ty Dillon right there? He's in the top 10 for the first time tonight. Looking to take back the championship lead. Hasn't been the best of evenings for the man he came in tied with, Chris Buescher, who right now is scored in the 17th position. Dillon inside of Harvick, maybe a little contact there, Michael, and that may open the door for Brennan Poole to drive through. It will.
Poole drives off turn 2 with that position over Harvick, and Harvick continues to lose spots. Now the 98 of Eric Almirola is on the inside.
Well, he is dropping like we have not seen all season long. A couple of wins this year for Kevin Harvick in that 88 team. They have been strong. Brad mentioned it, best track position of the night, but whatever the reason, they are going in the wrong direction. Suarez goes by, Sadler goes by, and here comes the 0-1. That's Landon Castle. "17 cars on the lead lap, and the last of those pretty soon is going to be Kevin Harvick. And you look at Brendan Gaughan on track, scored in the 16th position, but they're probably not worried about running order right now, Vince.
Well, that's for sure, Adam. Certainly a dramatic situation with that pit stop. You see the team reviewing it on their instant replay monitor, and the flash of fire, and certainly a very scary incident in that regard. We documented that rear tire changer Anthony O'Brien was taken to the medical center. There's going to be a new rear tire changer in his place. Obviously, that'll be Jeremy West. He's a backup on this crew, and then also a new fueler will come over from Brian Scott's team, and that'll be Thomas Costello. So all hands on deck. It could have been a lot worse. Fortunately, it was not.
A huge reminder of how dangerous pit road can be. And once again, a huge thank you to the firemen on pit road. Many times we go to these tracks, they're local volunteers. These guys did an unbelievable job of jumping in and taking care of that situation before, as Vince said, it got any worse. Harvick continues to drop. Chris?
Adam, just listening to Kevin and Harvick on the radio, he said the car is bouncing all over the place. The team down here, they've got 4 brand new shocks ready, so they're just hoping for a caution to see if they can get some new shocks on that car, hopefully help it out. As he said, the front end just bouncing all over the place, plowing through the corner.
And he is now the last car on the lead lap. Kevin Harvick is 17th.
And you see lap cars. Ross Chastain almost crashed off turn 2. He's going by Harvick now. And Brian Scott, what kind of adjustment you think that team made on that stop, Brad? I mean, obviously it was a fast stop, but that car's noticeably better, marching toward the front.
It's really come to life, and it's hard to say what specific adjustment they made, but it's working.
Saw our Toyota top performers all from Joe Gibbs Racing. Hamlin leads. Erik Jones is 4th. They started on the front 2 rows tonight. And then there's Daniel Suarez back in the 11th position, looking for another top 10 finish.
Now, Joey Logano has recovered from losing 3 spots on pit road, going to 5th, all the way back up to 2nd. That's a good recovery for that team.
Saw the numbers there for Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano last 2 weeks at short tracks, and Logano led all 300 last week, all 138 so far tonight for Denny Hamlin. Battle for position. There goes Chase Elliott. You know, this 9 team has had some highs and lows so far in 2015. The DNF, first of his career at Daytona. Consecutive top 10s since then. Top 5 last week. Just missed out on a top 5 at Bristol, and solid tonight. I think with a new crew chief, this team is really starting to make some gains. Unfortunately, his teammate Kevin Harvick struggling here tonight.
The shock's either broke or the spring, something wrong with the spring or something. I think we have an issue with the shocks. It looks up on the straightaway, looks up in the corner.
Got to be a helpless feeling for a crew chief, Larry, when you're out there under green. Not much you can do about it.
Well, Brad, I know you did the tire test up here for Goodyear, and Casey Kane earlier today, he was quickest in Cup practice, and all they did for Cup qualifying was change tires. He qualified 40th. He said the car was absolutely all over the place.
Yeah, it's hard to say on these things, but, you know, a lot of different factors. These cars rely on this splitter, which is this front piece right here on the front of the car. I'm going to circle it here for you. That splitter has to be sealed to the ground, and that creates all the aerodynamic forces that push the car into the ground and give it a lot of grip. So if one of the front suspension components comes loose or breaks or any of those things happen, the car loses a lot of grip and you go backwards like Kevin is right now.
And we're talking about speeds upward of 150 miles an hour, so when your aerodynamics go away, your car goes away.
What a wild night in Richmond. Lost in it all lately, the fact that Denny Hamlin is dominated. He's out front with 107 to go. Under caution here in Richmond, 146 of 250 laps complete in the ToyotaCare 250. Pit road is open. Already saw Kevin Harvick come down. He was the last car on the lead lap. The reason for the caution, the 4 of Ross Chastain went high in turn 2 and got into the wall.
He almost wrecked off turn 2 with J.J. Yaley and almost wrecked again. High into those marbles. Brendan Gaughan coming in to pull off windshield tear off and probably get a chassis adjustment after not a very good stint there.
You know what that looked like to me real quick, Michael? It looked like maybe they didn't get all the fuel in on that last stop and they needed to get some fuel in that car.
Further updates when we return to Richmond. .150 laps complete in the ToyotaCare 250 here at Richmond for the NASCAR XFINITY Series. We are under caution, and under our last caution, a huge pit road fire. For more on the situation down there with Brendan Gaughan, let's go to Vince Welsh.
With crew chief Shane Wilson. Shane, what started the fire in your understanding?
Well, we just had a malfunction in the gas head, and there's a lot of fuel out there, and just hope those guys are going to be okay. Anthony O'Brien, a rear changer, got burned. He's going to go to the hospital, and Josh Witten, our gas man, he got burned also. So I just hope the best for them, and it's too bad. It's kind of, I guess we take this for granted sometimes.
Obviously, their health is the main concern, but from the car perspective, you had to come back in because you didn't get the car fueled properly. Is that correct?
Yeah, the car didn't get filled up, and we didn't know if the wheel was tight because he was down there changing it when the fire started. So that's not really that big of a deal. I just hope them guys are all right.
Thank you, Shane. Adam.
Okay, Vince, thanks for the update. And the two men that Shane referred to both have been transported to the hospital, along with a crew member from Eric McClure, who's pitted right behind Brendan Gaughan. We'll keep you posted there. And let's listen into Kevin Harvick's radio, who was just penalized for being too fast.
We don't see anything wrong. He says all the links are hooked up, the arms are on, shocks are connected.
That's the worst thing a driver wants to hear when the car doesn't handle right. You feel like something's wrong and the crew can't find anything.
He's the last car on the lead lap is Kevin Harvick, restarting in the 18th position. Jeremy Clements got the free pass on this, our third caution of the night, back to green at lap 153.
Brian Scott dove to the bottom on Denny Hamlin there. Looks like he didn't give the spot up.
As good as we've seen Brian Scott tonight. Couple of rookies going at it. Darrell Wallace Jr. contact with Daniel Suarez.
What great car control there that was by Suarez and Wallace. We got a battle for the lead.
Someone going to challenge Denny Hamlin. It's Brian Scott, new man on point at Richmond. He makes the pass coming off of turn 2.
Nice smooth, getting into 3, straight up off.
Denny's going to fight back.
Goes inside, tight, inside by himself.
And that time around, the lap credited to Brian Scott. So Hamlin is not going to lead 100% of them tonight. But Brian Scott certainly serving notice. You're not going to run away and hide from me.
You're right, Michael. You said they tuned that car up, the 2 car on the last pit stop, and boy, did they ever. He looks great right now.
And he loves this racetrack. We were talking just before we had that last caution about how he's inspired to win here. He could taste a victory here. Led 230 some laps to the 250 and had to get away from him late.
What was the word he used? Heartbroken.
We saw Daniel Suarez get into Bubba Wallace as they raced down into turn 3. That tire's been rubbed, obviously. I wonder if it's starting to go away on him. Those 2 rookies were going at it, Adam.
You got to love that, though, but it goes back to what we talked about, Brad. If you're going to make ground, you got to do it on the restart. You can't even see the Goodyear lettering, a sign of the contact that Michael referred to.
Yeah, the only good thing here it's flat right there. You can see it right now. It just went flat. The only good thing is usually if they're going to go flat, they go flat right away, but he better hold on.
Well, no one's told him it's flat yet. He's hanging right in there, but thing looks like it's definitely...
Yeah, it's going quick. Or slow, I should say.
Right in front of him, the brothers battling. Austin Dillon outside in the 33. Inside the 3 of Ty Dillon, who's made some good progress tonight.
Yeah, boys, I'll tell you what, we better keep a camera on that 6 because when that tire goes, it's going to be hard for him to hold on. You can see it's really buckling under. And you know what? That's worth a little bit of speed initially until it goes all the way flat. But a lot of wrinkles in that sidewall.
I can't believe it hasn't gone yet, really. When you look at it visually, you would think he would have lost it by now. And here he is trying to take a position away from Austin Dillon.
Those Goodyear tires are tough. It might have just rubbed that sidewall and it's going to be okay, but certainly appears to be softening up. Look at Suarez. He's going to fight to the bottom of Dillon as well. Austin's car just hasn't been Austin-like tonight. He's struggled a bit, and you can see Suarez, the rookie's there, eating him up.
Yeah, I think about Austin Dillon, started 13th, pretty quickly drove his way inside the top 5, but once he got to 4th, hit a wall, couldn't go any further, and Michael, after that, he started kind of working his way in the wrong direction, and now the 33 in the 10th position.
How much does a track change, Brad? We've run 160 laps here, obviously putting rubber down on the racetrack. The temperature is cooling off. Could his car have changed that much? We saw him storm to the front early.
Yeah, now we're seeing Brian Scott storm to the front and make a real challenge on Denny Hamlin, the first real challenge we've seen. So, you know, it's definitely shifting. It looks like Brian's car had a lot of short run speed and maybe not quite the long run speed he was hoping for. But still, it's going to continue to change. It's going to continue to pick up speed as the sun has set and the track temperature is just slowly coming down.
Well, Brian led that one lap, lost the lead, and now he's got company. Joey Logano right behind him, Vince.
Well, the problem for Brian earlier on is he wasn't able to get the turn through the corner. They fixed that, but he said it's almost turning too good. I'm afraid now it's going to get loose as we go. That's what they've been dealing with. They got it to turn, but they've gone almost a little bit too far over the line. Matt?
And Vince, the 22's trying to chase down the 2, but right now Joey Logano says his car is much better on the short run. Then it swings the tight side. He told his team they've got to make a bigger adjustment on their last stop coming out.
And that's what I was going to say, Matt. Everybody going to come to pit road one more time. The drivers that pitted under our last caution at lap 147 came down, fueled their cars, didn't put on tires. Everybody has one set of tires left. You go on board with Erik Jones, currently scored in the 5th spot.
Look at that helmet of Erik Jones, Brad. This track, obviously, it's a short track, very fast, tight corners. How much G-forces is he dealing with? A young kid like that, not used to racing at a track like this. Is it more here at Richmond than a lot of the other places we race?
Well, Richmond is a very fast track. It's 3/4 of a mile, but it races like a short track, but sometimes it feels like a big track, the loads it puts on you. And these stock cars here will pull just a little over 2 Gs. And to explain that, that means his body weighs twice what it should weigh, or it feels like it weighs that with all those forces acting upon him. A lot like riding a roller coaster. And so he's holding on. He's got his helmet padded up. You can see that right here. He's got his head held over to the side, trying to keep him in position where he can see out that window despite those G-forces, and he's doing a heck of a job.
Yeah, running in the top 5. Jones, another solid run.
You know, Denny Hamlin kind of batting 1,000 today, quickest in practice, won every round of qualifying, but he hasn't led every lap. Brian Scott was able to get by him for one, and Mike Wheeler said, "Come on, man, I wanted them all tonight here in Richmond."
Welcome back to Richmond International Raceway. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Green flag conditions inside the Hollywood Hotel. We're giving you an update. Danielle Trotta alongside Larry McReynolds. Been an eventful night in some ways. Friday Night Lights took a literal meaning. A race recap for you first. Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano setting up the front row. Denny in that 20 car starting on the front row tonight. How dominant has he been, Larry?
Yeah, I mean, he has been fast in every practice, sat on the pole, and he has led all but one lap of these first 176 laps.
And here's the scary moment on track. Fire exploding on pit road. A fuel spill and Brendan Gaughan's pit box catches fire, injuring crew members, including a rear tire changer. Anthony O'Brien quickly taken by emergency personnel. Bad burns there. 3 crew members in all, Larry, taken to the hospital.
Yeah, I guess the fuel probe was not working on Brendan Gaughan's car that puts the fuel in the car, and evidently it got a spark from a hot rotor or a hot lug nut.
The 88 car you see there is Kevin Harvick. He dropped from 3rd to 18th. Harvick, of course, a 7-time record-winning driver here at Richmond. Guys, he's not so happy tonight with that car.
Yeah, if he's going to make it 8, Danielle, Kevin Harvick's got a long way to go. And even if he could do something miraculous and get back to the front, going to be a big-time chore to do anything with Denny Hamlin, who's been incredible here tonight.
These guys have one more shot at it. They're going to come to pit road, get another set of tires, get an adjustment, and hopefully be able to make that magic adjustment, something that they can use to take down Denny Hamlin. But Brad, after all practice and qualifying's over and most of this race, no one's been able to do anything with Denny Hamlin.
Not yet, but there's still 71 laps to go. And like we said before the race started, late race restarts. We saw Kevin had a shot at maybe dive bombing down in there, didn't take it. Brian Scott had a shot, didn't take it. Race isn't over yet, and that last restart really sets this thing up to get exciting.
A couple of guys that might be laying in the weeds. Brian Scott, of course, led the only lap that Denny Hamlin didn't tonight. Joey Logano gets one more adjustment, right position on a restart. Perhaps he could be there. Erik Jones, and, well, we mentioned Kevin Harvick. Right now, Harvick, the last car on the lead lap, won't be long before he's a lap down.
Looks like the front end's just solid, popping along. Do you think one of the jack bolts is backed off? No, I think the spring must have rotated on it somehow because it's not settled in the corner. It's not traveled in the corner, so it's something holding our travel up. Yeah, it's 1.5 inches off the ground getting into the corner where it should be all the way sealed off.
And on the line tonight for Kevin Harvick, a streak of 29 consecutive top 10 finishes in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. That's second all time.
Now, Larry McReynolds, I know you're out there listening. Tell us about the spring. What was he talking about there? How it didn't settle into the car right?
Yeah, the spring actually has a pigtail on it that wraps down in the lower control arm, and it has a place that it settles in there. And it almost sounds like maybe when they jacked the car up, Brad, to change tires on that last pit stop when they changed 4 tires, that maybe the spring rotated when one of the front tires was in droop and the car has lost its travel.
You can see how high on the straightaway that 88 car is. It drops down in the corners a bit, but the crew chief was talking about how it wasn't running down the straightaways like it's supposed to. You can see all the way across the front of the car, it's not on the ground. There goes Joey Logano back around Brian Scott for that second spot. So whatever adjustment Logano made, he's coming back strong now in the longer run.
Seeing that 22 car in second, seeing the way that Denny Hamlin is dominating, it reminds me a little bit of what happened here September 2013. Brian Scott leads the first 239, and Brad, you got him on a late race restart. I guess the motto is never give up until the checkered flag waves. Right?
Well, not only that, but never take anything for granted. We saw that with safety early in the race with the 62 car in the pit road fire. Sometimes we take these pit roads, we take them for granted. You know, things can happen. It's a very dangerous environment, but also the finishes of the races. Never take it for granted. You can lead every lap, but the last one, you still don't get the trophy.
There's Erik Jones, guys. He's come back to life. We saw him fade a bit on that last run, but he's up to the 4th position. His lap times have been solid, and right behind him is Regan Smith into the top 5. Smith has a good car right now as well. A lot of players, but nobody's found a way to play with Denny Hamlin yet.
You know what all these guys want? They want a caution so we can come down pit road, make an adjustment, get some tires, and get one of those restarts to go after Denny Hamlin, who's in charge with 63 to go. Tonight it's 250 laps for the NASCAR XFINITY Series. Add another 150 tomorrow night. It's the Toyota Owners 400. Our coverage begins with race day, 5 p.m. Eastern time on Fox Sports 2. Then it's over to Fox at 6. Who will win the short track showdown here tomorrow night? You know, a season ago, it was all about Team Penske. Joey Logano in the spring, our man Brad Keselowski in the fall, and I would guess Denny Hamlin will be a player in his Toyota. And with that, we give you our Toyota race summary. 195, 250 laps complete. We got 16 cars on the lead lap. It's been the Denny Hamlin show. The only other driver to lead tonight is Brian Scott. And here's a battle for position right of your screen. Regan Smith able to drive around Erik Jones. Let's go to Chris Neville.
Well, Erik Jones initially slid a couple spots. Now he's starting to make them back up on the racetrack. But since his last pit stop, he said the 54 has just gotten incredibly loose, saying, guys, I'm continually beating up the right rear tire, so I'm having to back off and cool off that tire. But right now, this team really waiting for the next pit stop.
A lot of our front runners are looking forward to that next pit stop. They've run nearly 90 laps since the last time they were on pit road. Larry McReynolds, what are we looking at for pit stops? How soon do the leaders need to get on pit road? I know some guys can make it all the way to the finish.
Well, Michael, when I figure the fuel window here is about 110 to 120 laps, and since they were on pit road, we've had 20 caution laps. Looks like to me somewhere 220 to 230. Now, when I look at drivers like Chris Buescher, Elliott Sadler, Brendan Gaughan, who came to pit road and topped off on that last caution, they can probably go to about lap 260. So everyone still has to make one more stop, and remember, there's still one more set of tires in most of these drivers' pits.
If I'm Mike Wheeler right now and I'm on top of that 20 pit box, I'm nervous. I'm going to tell you that right now, Adam and Michael, because this race has all the potential to blow up in your face with strategy. You've got a few cars, the 51, the 1, and the 62, who can make it on fuel. Not only that, you're going to have a few cars that are going to short pit, meaning they're going to pit way earlier than they need to, come out on fresh tires and run really fast laps. And then you've got your own car, which is going to be really close to probably not even being able to make it on fuel. There's so many ways right now this race can go wrong and change the complexion. It's going to be interesting the next 40 or 50 laps here.
And the complexion has changed big for Austin Dillon, who has dropped back to 12th.
Oh, she's real good. Yeah, you're good everywhere but 1 and 2. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't turn. 10-4. Don't give up on us here, man. Get back to your marks here. I'll give you some time. Let's go back up through there.
Brad, he said it won't turn. Which end of this track is more difficult to get through? Is 1 and 2 more harder radius to navigate through, or 3 and 4?
Well, I think 1 and 2 is always a little bit looser in, and 3 and 4 is always a little bit looser off. And trying to balance that, because you get tight on the opposite ends. You've got to have a car that works everywhere, and sometimes that's not possible.
48 laps to go. Hamlin, Logano, Scott, Smith, Erik Jones, the top 5 in the ToyotaCare 250. 41 laps to go here at Richmond for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Denny Hamlin out front. He's led 208 laps tonight. And prior to this evening, the most laps he had ever led in the Xfinity Series, 199. That came here in April of 2011. When he went to Victory Lane, he's finished second 6 times since. Scheduled green flag pit stop for Austin Dillon. It comes at lap 210.
He was running in the 12th position. This is getting interesting, Brad. Every lap that clicks off is another lap that Denny Hamlin and his crew have to worry about when that caution's going to fly. This race is really in flux right now for that team, and Denny, they need a caution flag. Brendan Gaughan goes a lap down, but Brendan can make it on fuel all the way to the finish.
And how about the effort for Brendan Gaughan has rallied up to 9th, despite the fact that they had all those issues on pit road. What is their situation on fuel, Vince?
Well, I just talked to Shane Wilson, the crew chief on the 62. He told me they cannot make it to the end, so that's certainly not good news for Brendan Gaughan and company. But the one of Elliott Sadler does have fuel to go to the finish.
And he pitted at the same time that Gaughan did, so that's a little bit confusing. We were doing the math and felt like that Gaughan could make it. His crew obviously knows that he can't.
But the one car can, so that's the guy who's the game changer here. He needs this race to stay green. If it stays green, it's going to be a really close finish.
Sadler is 1 lap down in the 11th position. In fact, right now there's only 7 drivers on the lead lap, and Denny Hamlin, the man out front, Matt.
At this point, Mike Wheeler's crew chief is going to call Denny to pit road around lap 226. Denny inquired about 5 laps ago if anyone else had stopped for fuel and could make it. Wheels told him there were probably 2 or 3 that did. So he said, give me as hard as you can your laps, and then we'll pit in lap 226.
This is intense. These NASCAR races are so hard to win. That's what made Joey Logano's win last week at Bristol so impressive. Lead all 300 laps and nothing goes wrong. Denny Hamlin here, Larry McReynolds, is flirting with having to come to pit road under green.
Well, yeah, most all the leaders will. And again, I know I said something a while ago about some of these guys having to pit around lap 260. Of course, it's a 250-lap race. But I know they've already said Brendan Gaughan can't make it. But aside from Elliott Sadler, I think Chris Buescher and maybe Jeremy Clements can make it. It makes me think back to a race that Denny Hamlin here back in 2008 when Denny Hamlin led 381 of 382 laps and had a flat tire with 20 to go. Matt.
And the 3 of Ty Dillon is on pit road. The one constant for Ty much of this race, he has had a brake shake. He turned the fans off on the first run. That didn't help. They put more tape on the grill to generate more heat in the brakes. That helped somewhat, but it has still been there much of the race. You saw a significant chassis adjustment on that 3. Balance just not there.
You know, Matt, despite the fact the car hasn't been where he would like it, Ty Dillon started 15th, worked his way inside the top 10, and is hoping to leave here tonight with a championship lead. He came in tied for Chris Buescher, but most of this evening has been out in front of that 60 car who struggled a bit here at Richmond. Buescher right now scored in the 15th position. He's one of the many cars 1 lap down. Final car on the lead lap, Chase Elliott, 7th. He's coming to pit road with 32 to go. Here he is, Matt.
We're seeing a lot of cars now starting to get in their window and hit pit road. Chase Elliott, one of them. On the previous stop, there were no changes for Chase. He felt like the car was the best it had been all night. He was calling for an adjustment this stop, though, because the car had picked up a tight condition through the center. Just wasn't cutting like it was earlier.
Both races here a year ago. Chase Elliott was a runner-up. In fact, in 7 career starts on short tracks in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, our defending champion has never finished outside the top 10.
Denny, this is the first run he's really had to push his car. You see, and it's fast. 6.5-second lead off of Joey Logano. But he knows he has to push the car here in case it stays green. It's going to be a very, very tight battle at the end for him to be able to make up the positioning on that one car who can make it the rest of the way without stopping, and Denny has to stop.
We heard from his crew chief, Mike Wheeler, saying to Denny, push it. Give me all you've got right now so we can get to pit road, make a pit stop, and not lose any more time than necessary. And that'll be a crucial pit stop too, Adam. When this race is on the line, you come down pit road. We've seen a lot of penalties this year. It'll be on the team not to mess up.
Brendan Gaughan making his final stop of the night, Vince.
Well, and what an eventful night it has been. They've got a new rear tire changer and a new fueler because of the fire that we saw earlier tonight. Obviously a 4-tire change, and they're going to give him enough fuel to get to the finish. Brendan Gaughan in that 62. Chris.
Erik Jones losing another position to Daniel Suarez on the racetrack. He said the balance of this car was so good in the race, but this last 100 laps, he just hasn't been able to hang on to the back end of that car. He said, it is absolutely so loose. I can't hold on to it, guys. Vince?
The 7 of Regan Smith pitting from the number 3 position. Said it's just been too tight across the middle throughout the course of the night, and that's where he needs the help. If he's going to be a challenger in the finish, he's got to be freer for the short run and turn through the middle better.
You mentioned he was inside the top 5 when he came to pit road. By pitting, he loses the lead lap. As of now, only 4 cars on the lead lap.
You can see the importance of the tires. The 25 of Dylan Lupton just drove around Hamlin. So when you've got the 3rd place guy, Regan Smith, coming to pit road, then he can't afford to stay out there much longer because he'll give up that time on the racetrack. Vince.
Brian Scott has led 1 lap. He's the only guy to lead a lap tonight other than Denny Hamlin. But his car is too loose in and too loose off as he struggles to get out of the pit box.
Brian Scott leaves the pit lane. Coming in, our race leader, Denny Hamlin, going to get service with 26 laps to go. He led 223 of the first 224. Coming in right behind him, Joey Logano, who scored in 2nd when the green flag cycle began. Here's the leader, Matt Yoakum.
And Logano's car had been tight much of this race. The 20 car is in. Tear off the windshield for better visibility. Solid stop so far. And then also Joey Logano, he wanted a chassis adjustment and an air pressure change to try to help the run to the finish.
We'll keep an eye on this. The advantage when this cycle of stops began for Denny Hamlin over 2nd place Joey Logano, 6.2 seconds. And all of this is cycled through to Elliott Sadler, the race leader. Bubba Wallace on pit road, Vince.
The car has been way too tight for Bubba to make a move, and he says it gets worse the longer they go and the way the tires burn off. 4 tires, air pressure adjustment for Bubba Wallace for the last stint.
And now we keep an eye on that green Ford from the Roush Fenway organization, Elliott Sadler, who had taken over the race lead. But here comes Denny Hamlin driving by on the inside, the 20 back on point.
And that's because the 20 pushed so hard there. Built that 6-second lead, Adam, and that was so crucial right here.
And I don't know if Elliott Sadler is going to make it to the finish on those tires. His times have really fallen off, and you can see Denny Hamlin drives by him and away from him. Elliott Sadler is basically having to stop in the center of the turn.
23 to go, and now our Hisense move of the race coming from the Hisense Toyota, Denny Hamlin, who's been so good here tonight. Lost the lead on a cycle of green flag pit stops, gets it back right there, driving by Elliott Sadler with 24 laps to go.
Little drama late, but Denny Hamlin's team performed on pit road. Hamlin pushed that car hard to build a lead. Looks like it's smooth sailing from here on out. Unless we have those late race cautions that we often see.
And he lost about a second off his advantage on that cycle of stops. Some of that might be just playing it safe with that big of a lead, right, Brad?
Yeah, we saw earlier, Adam, 4 lug nuts tight on that car. Instead, they didn't go with the 5th one. Now when you're leading, you have a 6-second lead. Yeah, let's put the 5th one on. We don't need to risk it.
Did you say Denny Hamlin was excited about driving that 20 car? I think we found out why. As you see a change here for 2nd. Joey Logano drives by Elliott Sadler, so Sadler drops back to 3rd. Chase Elliott and Regan Smith, the 2 cars from Junior Motorsports, right now scored in the 3rd and 4th positions as Sadler goes back to 5th.
So right now, if I'm Elliott Sadler, I'm hoping this race maybe has a yellow with about 5 to go and I can have 15-lap newer tires. Well, only 10 cars on the lead lap.
It's going to have to happen soon. You can see Hamlin still pushing hard. He's split the middle there between Harvick and Buescher. Watch this move. That's confidence right there, isn't it?
I think that's where your crew chief has an anxiety attack. Teammates going at it here. Chase Elliott 3rd, Regan Smith 4th. Blue 9, black 7.
These guys are battling not only for a position on the racetrack, but also for a championship. Elliott Sadler running in the 5th position, or excuse me, Elliott Sadler running in the 6th position, lost a spot again. He just keeps dropping. I don't know if he's going to make it all the way to the finish. That car is slow right now.
18 laps to go. Only 2 laps where Denny Hamlin is not led here tonight. Brian Scott able to get by him just by a nose at the start-finish line after an earlier restart. Elliott Sadler led a lap on a cycle of green flag pit stops a moment ago. Outside of that, it's been all about Denny Hamlin. 231 of 233 and counting. We're down to 16 laps to go as they cross the start-finish line. And Joey Logano running second right now and thinking about a potential late race restart should we get a caution.
Just stay in front of the 9. Just stay in front of the 9. Don't run the 20 down. We're not going to run the 20 down. We need to save tires for a late yellow.
That's good thinking. You know, you can't race up to catch Denny Hamlin, but if you just take a little bit of the pressure off those tires, maybe to give you an advantage late.
Absolutely, Michael. You're not going to make up a 4-second gap in 20 laps. You know, not as strong as Denny has been. So what you're hoping for is maybe I'll catch a break, and then I can make the most of it and have the best car.
You think about this 22 team, and Brad, you know so much about it because the time you've spent behind the wheel. But tonight will be 28 consecutive top 10 finishes with 5 different drivers.
Well, the race isn't over yet, Adam, but if it does happen, that is a pretty remarkable stat, and it just shows the strength of that team. It's a really, really good team.
Jeremy Bolin, such a good leader a year ago, moves over with Ryan Blaney and calling the shots on that Wood Brothers 21 car in the Sprint Cup Series. Enter Greg Irwin, who was more the competition director a season ago. He's atop the pit box. The team has picked up right where they left off. So good last week, leading all 300 laps at Bristol. And while Joey Logano has not been able to hang with Denny Hamlin tonight, they've served notice once again. They're the model of consistency. They lead the Owners' Championship, going for their 3rd consecutive title in that category.
These guys have been battling hard. Bubba was into the back of Suarez a couple of laps ago.
They're not saving tires, Michael.
They're all over each other. Another guy that isn't is Erik Jones. He's trying to hustle that car up to the back of Chase Elliott, who's in the 4th position.
Joe Gibbs has got to feel good tonight. His man Denny Hamlin's out front. You're on board with Erik Jones, who is 5th, and Daniel Suarez 6th. So when you can put 3 cars inside the top 6 with this stout competition, that's pretty impressive. And a chance to gain in the championship for Chase Elliott. Came in 3rd in points tonight, 12 behind both Chris Buescher and Ty Dillon, but he's running in the top 5 again. He's 4th right now.
Elliott Sadler just won a lap down, so that officially closes the door on that strategy.
And Darrell Wallace Jr. gets around Daniel Suarez, but that wasn't for position. Suarez on the lead lap in 6th. Wallace right now 1 lap down in the 15th spot.
And you just got to tip your hat to Suarez. He's just come in here, got his feet wet, understands how to get better throughout the course of a race. I've been really impressed with Daniel and that whole 18 team.
Down to 9 to go. Regan Smith, 3rd right now. Said he liked what the team had to offer. And Michael, you said it earlier. What a great bounce back after they had those problems last week at Bristol that took him out of contention.
He's just been 1 notch off of Hamlin, but he's been able to close in on the 22 of Logano. We know Logano is just pacing himself, but I'm sure Denny Hamlin's doing the same thing. Regan Smith says, I got to go, and he's closing in on Logano.
8 laps remaining at Richmond. Top 5, Denny Hamlin. Joey Logano is 2nd. Regan Smith, Chase Elliott, Erik Jones the top 5. And we talk about that impressive top 10 streak for the 22 group as a team. Another top 10 streak going to come to a close. Kevin Harvick entering tonight's race had 29 consecutive top 10s in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. That's 2nd all time to Sam Ard, but it's going to end tonight. Harvick 17th, 2 laps down with only 7 remaining.
Looks like the 39 of Ryan Sieg is out of fuel, shaking that car around, and he's slow on the backstretch. Looks like he'll be able to make it to pit road, though.
Denny Hamlin says, thank you very much. Last thing he wants is a caution. Coming to 5 to go and a 3.1 second lead for the man who's been in charge all night long.
Denny's just been nice, smooth.
Yep, 5 to go right here.
What a day for Hamlin. I know Denny pretty well. He doesn't like getting up and getting a car at 8:15 in the morning, but that all went well. Obviously, Qualified on the pole and has dominated this race.
I don't think he minded getting up at 8:50 in the morning to drive that 20 car today. What do you think?
Thing is a rocket.
Whether he liked it or not this morning, I'm sure he's quite content here tonight with 4 to go. It's got to be a good feeling, Brad, and similar to what you experienced here last fall in the Sprint Cup race when you come out and just seem to have it all go your way.
You know, I think you can see races, and for me personally, I can enjoy a race that's got a lot of action and passes for the lead, but I appreciate the domination you're seeing out of the 20 car as a race car driver and out of Denny Hamlin. You know, that takes a lot to put these races together and to almost in effect pitch a no-hitter. And that's what we're seeing out of this team. They missed out on 2 laps led, which I'm sure is going to eat them alive if they close this race out. But still a heck of a job and very remarkable accomplishment.
And I want to tell you, practice started at 8:15. At about 8:50, I asked Kevin Harvick how it was going. He said, nobody's going to beat Hamlin. we were a half hour into practice, and he had already called the dominant car, and no one could do anything to close on Denny.
Tight battle for position there. Erik Jones gets around Chase Elliott. As Denny Hamlin comes off turn 4, looking at the white flag.
Be smart. Bottom of 3. Bottom of 3.
Be smart, you're 3 wide. Wonder what Mike Wheeler thought when he heard that when the car went out of sight down into turn 1.
Half a lap away for Denny Hamlin to close the deal. Nothing like winning at your home track, right? 12th career win for Denny Hamlin. Going to come at his favorite place, Richmond International Raceway.
Hell yeah, bud. Way to do it. Wow. Pleasure to drive your car this weekend, man. Thank you. Thanks for joining us, man. Looking forward to it every time. Appreciate it, everybody. Chris, thank you. Pit crew, excellent job.
Dialing on brake bias there to do a nice burnout. Did you see that, Michael?
Yes, sir.
Joe Gibbs Racing has now led 498 of the last 500 laps in NASCAR Xfinity Series competition here at Richmond. 3rd career win for Denny Hamlin at his home track. Full post-race coverage on the way. Now let's go to Fox Sports Live in Los Angeles.
You can burn her down, bud. I do.
Jay and Dan in love with BK, who swept the races here in 2013.
Denny Hamlin's thinking
that I don't want something to hang on my wall.
And we look at Denny Hamlin, but overall the performance of this 20 team, 4 consecutive pole positions, 2nd win of the year. Erik Jones gets him the trophy at Texas, and tonight it's Denny Hamlin who delivers.
This is his high sense move of the race right here, Adam. After you have a dominating car, to be able to go through a late green flag pit stop and pull it off, it's a great feeling for Hamlin. That's a major burnout, too.
For Joe Gibbs Racing, it is their 6th win here, tying them for 2nd all-time with Richard Childress Racing. Their 103rd overall, and Joey Logano was good tonight, but just not good enough, Vince.
Well, he knows all about dominating performances. Last week he led every single lap in winning Bristol, and tonight he saw a dominating performance from that 20 car and Denny Hamlin. What was the difference between the two tonight? Where was the difference?
Everywhere. He just toyed with me all night long. Now I know what it feels like to be on the other end of it from after last weekend. But he had a decent discount tire for it, but it wasn't even close to that 20 car. And I thought he was really fast in practice, and apparently it transferred over into the race. And just as soon as he went, I could hang for maybe 5 or 6 laps, barely hang, and then off he'd go. And then after that, you can tell he was just saving his tires. So his car was so fast he didn't have to drive hard, and that just paid off in long run speed for him even more. And just wasn't fast enough, just plain and simple.
There it is. 2nd place, Adam.
So Logano comes home behind Denny Hamlin, who led 248 of 250 laps and getting the checkered flag in Richmond, Virginia. We'll hear from him next. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Dan. We will see you guys in a matter of moments on Fox Sports Live. Now we're going to Victory Lane and Chris Neville.
And Denny Hamlin and his crew chief Mike Wheeler shared so many victories together in Sprint Cup when he was your engineer tonight. You get him back as your crew chief and just a dominant night. What's it like to run a race like that?
It's unbelievable. Big weekend for High Sense. Next TV you buy, it's got to be a High Sense, and I thank them for joining our sport, becoming part of Joe Gibbs Racing. Thank FedEx, Toyota, Coke, the Jordan brand, Greenbrier, Xfinity. This is a big weekend, but one thing we all got to think about is Steve Byrnes' family. He's a big part of our sport, and we're definitely thinking of him. 100th Xfinity win for Toyota. That's a big one. I was able to get the 100th Cup win for those guys at Loudon a few years ago, for JGR. So this is a big weekend for everyone, and glad to be working with Wheels again. He's he put a rocket under us tonight.
Great job, Matt.
For the third time this year, Chase Elliott finishes 5th. What was the biggest challenge for you tonight?
We just couldn't turn the center like we needed to late in the run, and when you do that here, it creates bad drive off, so it kind of multiplies your problems. So that was all I had. I was giving her all I had there the whole night. So I appreciate everybody's hard work, Napa for their support, and we'll try to get a little better. I think this weekend was a plus for us, and I thought we ran better than we have, and it's a step in the right direction.
His first double-duty weekend. He'll run the Cup car tomorrow night.
Regan Smith matches his best finish of the season, 3rd place and third top 5 of the season. You told me before the race you felt like you guys had a good car. Was it as good as you thought it was going to be?
It was, yeah. I mean, it was really good on long runs. So the Breyer Chevy had speed after 25 laps. I was really confident with our drive up off the corners. So, Jason and these guys have been working hard, and we've had fast cars every week, and we just got to make sure we capitalize on them. We had a fast car last week and again this week. So pleased with where our speed's at. We're going to keep chipping away at the points battle for the Xfinity Series, and so we see what we can do at Dega next week.
Moved up a couple of spots in the championship battle. Regan Smith, 3rd place tonight.
Solid top 5 finish for Erik Jones. When you look back on this night, what's going to stand out to you most?
Yeah, the track change is big. It seems like we got a little bit free on I think it was the second run on tires and didn't adjust, and after that, man, I just got so free. But the Monster Energy Camry was good, just not quite as good as our teammate, man. That's awesome to see for them though, and see him in victory lane. But I wish it was us. I think we had the car that could have possibly done it. Just needed to make a little bit better adjustments, but. Proud of our team. We've been making gains on both the 20 and the 54 every week, and just proud to be with this team, and I know we'll be there.
Thank you, Erik.
Matt, Erik Jones goes back to the 20 next week at Talladega. In the 54, Boris Said making his first start of 2015.
The Said heads rejoice with Boris coming back to the racetrack. What a dominating performance by Denny Hamlin. The takeaway I've got, Brad, is that bottom groove. Kenny Wallace hit on it at the top of the show. That's where you got to be. It looks like that's the dominant line where you need to run if you want to lead this race.
Yeah, certainly we continue to see that year over year with the Xfinity Series here at Richmond International Raceway, where the bottom groove has a lot of speed. But one of the things I'm seeing, Daniel Suarez in 6th place, he might not have been the highest finishing Xfinity regular or regular only driver, but he's shown so much improvement. That's something to be really proud of. And then, of course, Chase Elliott, Regan Smith up front. The points battle is just so close. This is really a tremendous season.
You mentioned Daniel Suarez. All 3 Joe Gibbs cars finishing inside the top 6. The coach is smiling tonight, Danielle.
He is, Adam. Certainly, Denny Hamlin grew up just 20 miles away from this racetrack. He was in a different zip code, won all his own tonight, Larry, as we take a look at the top 10 finishers.
Yeah, not the night that Ty Dillon was looking for, but he gets a top 10 finish. He takes the points lead. And how about Landon Castle getting the top 10 finish in that 01 car?
4 Cup drivers finishing inside the top 10. Chase Elliott rounding out your top 5. He's playing double duty, getting in a Cup car for the second time tomorrow under the lights as we continue down the analysts. The boys mentioned Darrell Wallace Jr., Chris Buescher, some of the regulars in this series, Larry, having great nights too.
Yeah, and look at Kevin Harvick there, qualified up near the front. The streak of 29 consecutive top 10 finishes in this series comes to an end.
So 8 races under our belts in this 2015 XFINITY Series season. On down the list here, some tough points nights, but overall, looking at the points, we have had some shift. Ty Dillon now leads the points. He was in a virtual tie with Chris Buescher coming in. Now he has an 8-point lead over Chase Elliott, who moved up 1 spot with that top 5 finish.
Yeah, Chris Buescher, he has 4 top 5 finishes this year. Ended up finishing 20th tonight, probably the worst run he's had in a while.
21 straight races where a Cup driver has won at Richmond. Make it 22. Walking the dog, Denny Hamlin, in dominant fashion. Hope you enjoyed it. Fox Sports Live from Los Angeles starts now. Let's send it out to our good buddies, Jay and Dan. Boys, take it away.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
Get in the car tomorrow night. He's thinking about putting on his driver's uniform. He's already taken off the tie tonight. Starting in the 7th position, your teammate is on the pole. Team Penske looking for their 3rd win in a row here tomorrow evening, Brad.
Yeah, 2014 was incredible for Team Penske here at Richmond, but it's a new challenge, a new rules package, a new year, and you got to adapt to it. Who will do it best? We're going to find out tomorrow.
So Joey Logano on the pole, joining him on the front row, Denny Hamlin. Oh, by the way, he's pretty good here at Richmond too, Michael.
Yeah, he loves this racetrack. He grew up just 20 miles down the road, so when he comes here, he always has an extra step. Obviously, he put the field down tonight, and he's got a really good car for tomorrow. Talking to him after that Cup practice today, he's feeling really